hosting responsibility here, and I have my special guest here today, Alicia Rocco. Is that the right name, right? Rocco, I can pronounce, or what's the right
You can
pronunciation?
say it either way. It's Rocco, but that's fine.
Okay, Alicia Rocco. So we have her with us, and we will be talking about her background. We will talking about what she's doing and how is she making the plants better. So I have a few questions all ready for her. So we will be starting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's try to bring him in. Unmute. Yeah. Yeah, you take care of that. Try to unmute him, and I think whenever you hear his voice, that'll be okay. So we are recording now, or just tell me when you're recording. Okay, awesome. Again, sorry for that. And hello again, everyone. This is Arif. I know I'm not the usual host here, but again, there was some problem with Wayne and he was not able to show up, I think through camera at least. He will be calling in if he does that. So I will be taking care of the hosting responsibilities here. We have our special guest, Alicia Rocco. I pronounced it right this time. And we will be having a good conversation with her and knowing more about her. So, hi, Alicia. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing well. I told you it's a bit late in Lahore, Pakistan, right now, but I'm trying to keep up with things.
Well, right here today, it's pouring down rain. We are having our spring rain, so I'm happy to be inside.
Same here. It has been raining for last 7 hours, and usually it never happens like that. But at this time of the year, but it's happening, and I'm loving it. My daughter is still awake, so I told her like, stay in the room, like 50% in the room. Otherwise, we would have that again thing. I think you saw that video at some point. Well, I think Elika was doing, and a baby came.
Well, that's okay. I've got a golden doodle, and I had to put him out because he would have been right here wanting to talk to you.
No, we love pets. So we have cats on show, we have dog on show. People shows up, and we all enjoy that. Good. So let's jump into the interview session. Can you please let us know about yourself a bit, about your background, and I think then we can start with questions again.
Sure. In the early 20s, I was a very sick girl, and I was in the hospital, had pneumonia a number of times, and they kept trying to find what was wrong with me and couldn't find it. At one point, they actually pronounced me dead, but I'm still here. So at that point, I decided that I was going to look into things more in the natural perspective than going more medically, because they weren't giving me the answers I needed at that time. So I decided then that I would go to school and become a naturopath. And I drove a school bus while I was paying for that schooling. And I took my time with it. I learned a lot. I learned a tremendous amount about herbs and trees and all of the things on the planet that can sustain us. Actually, a lot of times I look out here in my little forest behind my farm here and I say, there's God's Pharmacy showing up today. So it's getting sprinkled with rain today. So good, it's going to grow. I'm happy.
Natural water.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got involved in starting a practice as a naturopath. And with that, I decided to not only have a little store and a practice, but to see if I could find some acreage that had not had any chemical sprays on it. I found this 10 acres. Actually, there was 4 10-acre tracts here. It was a farm, and it had been sitting for 40 years. Nobody had lived on it. Nobody had farmed it. Nobody had done anything. A lot of growth on it and so forth. So I conned my sister into coming to help me. And she came and we cleared it all off and we built some houses and some barns. And then I started to look at things like not just what we put in our body, but we put on our body, which is, a lot of creams and et cetera, so forth. But then also what we wear, because I thought, you know what, there's something to that as well. So I got involved in the alpaca business, and so she takes care of that end of the farm. I took care of the naturopathic part. And one of the things we did, that was in 2006, when we got our alpacas, we decided we were going to go all natural with them and see how things went. So I contacted Dr. John Easterling of the Amazon Herb Company, and he helped me formulate an herbal formula for the animals to take every day so that I didn't have to do a lot of vet work and medications and so forth. So they have been on that continuously since 2006. And we've had a lot of tremendous success with that. Actually, we sell it to other farmers in our area as well. And it's all rainforest herbs. So the thing about the rainforest herbs is it's sort of like they don't have hospitals and doctors over there. So they pretty much take care of themselves, you know, and it rains and they harvest the plants. They sing and they pray when they're harvesting. And then it rains again and the plants grow again. So there's something to that. So I decided to get involved in those herbs as well. And I created a 9-body system, herbal base for people to use to help to rebalance their bodies. Because once we started doing blood work and a lot of other things that we did in the practice, we found that people were very deficient in a lot of different systems, and one system wasn't working, but that wasn't the system that was the problem. It was the basis of what was going on with other systems. So I learned a long time ago that we're these unique energetic beings that we don't really understand totally 100%, but we have to all be working synergistically together the same way you do with the land, the earth, and where we are. So I'm supposed to be retired. Well, that didn't happen. It happened for about 6 months. And the lady I sold my store to, she ended up going out of business because of COVID. Wow. So everybody started finding me again. And so I'm in the business part-time somewhat, and I still try to help people and animals as much as I possibly can. So my background is herbalism. I make tree essences for emotional healing. And we also got involved with some scientists that taught us about the cellular memory of water. And that was a big key for me too as well. So we've kind of combined all of that together, and it's been really great.
Wow. You didn't kid when you said 50 years of business. So you have typed everything. Wow, that's immense amount of experience. I hope life for me will be like that when I retire and people say, come back. I'm like, yeah, please come back.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, it's hard after you've been doing this for a while. You can't say no. You know, I'm not going to I took care of an animal last night. So I go to a farm, I take care of an animal, I go to the next place, take care of a person, you know, whatever needs done.
Wow. Awesome. So in this whole thing, how did this Natural Options, I think that's the name of your brand, that's the name of your company. So how this came into being, and what's the core philosophy of Natural Options? How does it differentiate from other health and wellness brands in the market?
Yeah, we have, the original name was Natural Approach to Health for the store. And so when we sold that name. So Natural Options came because I was retired, and it was like, well, okay, I still have some natural options. So that's how that came about. And one of the whole ideas behind everything that we do is to get to the bottom of what a person's problems or health issues might be. We do that through a blood work. I have aligned myself with a pharmacist that we developed a blood company, and we do the blood work for people. We have it, we can order it to have it drawn, and we do a health panel, and we have a particular 10 to 12 page report we give everybody, and we show them exactly what is the real problem. Even though they could be having something wrong with their blood sugar, that's not the issue, okay? But something else is driving the blood sugar. So we help them do that. So then with that, then we help them understand what maybe herbal remedies, foods they should be eating according to blood typing, the water, the Helix water, if this is important, because the Helix water is about inflammation. So as we went along and we provided all these things for people, we got very excited about the fact that, okay, can I get off my prescription drugs? I said, well, nope, I can't. You know, you have to go to your doctor and let your doctor know. So we would work with doctors now, and I still do that. They'll call me and they'll say, what is this herb? Because they don't know what that is. They know what this medicine is. And I have to learn both, whether I like it or not. So one of the things that's nice about the blood work company is because the lady I'm in business with there is a pharmacist. So she helps me to understand the medications. So if you're on certain medications, you can't take certain herbs, et cetera, et cetera. But we work with the people to help them to understand, and their doctors to understand what they can or cannot do or should not do. And we make it easy for them. So I've been doing it for so long, I don't know anything else. So
you know plenty. So by the way, like the way you were talking about it, I think that's the life experience. And I think that you're being quite humble here. But
well, one of the things I will say, and I'm not against medications or surgeries. We all go out, we could have a vehicle accident. Yes. And okay. And we have to be sewed up, put back together, whatever. But unnecessary surgeries, I don't approve of. But the one thing I will tell people is that, you know, you can stay away from all of those things, work with your doctor and find out what it is that he's wanting to correct. Let us know what it is you're wanting to correct. And let's see if we can work together. And some doctors are really good. Actually, I've got doctors for clients. So they really want to open up to the natural world. And it's difficult because of our laws, you know, the way they are. Me personally, the last pill I took was a Tylenol, and I was 22 years old. And I have never taken anything across the counter or any medication since. I said, you know, my great grandmother was Iroquois Indian. My sister looks like the Indian. If you came to the farm, you'd see what I mean. And she taught us herbs. That's what we knew. You know, we picked dandelions, and she made that awful dandelion tonic that we had to drink in the spring, but cleaned everything out. You felt a lot better, that's for sure. So those were the things that I learned growing up, and I was like, I'm taking those with me, and this is what I'm going to do. And I transferred that to my animals too. My alpacas, my dogs, cats we have on the farm, you know, all of them.
Wow. So I can relate with that a bit, because when I said I'm against it, it's, I think growing up, I had a single mother, like who was taking care of us. My father passed away when I was 11. So she was taking care of the job part. She was taking care of the home. So, and everything, doctors are expensive. So at least for this part of the world, doctors are quite expensive. So we were naturally into this thing that we don't need that. I think there are home remedies. There are natural ways of fixing you. So I think that's how what she taught me. I'm not sure I can pronounce the right names here, but they're all in Urdu, in my local language. And we use that, and we don't take medicine. I think the last medicine I took was, I think 7 years back, 5 6 years back. So yeah, that's how it happens for us. So,
well, we transferred all of what we do too onto the farm, because we treat the fields and everything with everything natural. We don't do anything unless it is. That's the only way we'll do it. We use a lot of diatomaceous earth. And of course, the formula that I made for the alpacas, I transfer that to the dogs and the cats. You know, we don't have, people will come for a tour to the farm and they'll say, you don't have any flies. And I'll say, well, no, we use diatomaceous earth, and we use the cedar oil spray here and the cedar oil pellets. And they're like, well, what's that? Well, those are natural remedies to get rid of bugs and flies and all the other kind of stuff we end up having. So I taught people to do that on their farms and to help them and the animals as well. So parasites are not something, you know, a lot of times farmers will be checking their animals all the time for parasites. Well, we give them things for parasite every single day, because they're in the fields, they're eating out of the fields, they're going to pick up parasites for sure. So everything, even detoxing and cleansing, people will say, oh, well, I just need to detox. I say, well, maybe you don't. And you need to be very careful, because sometimes detoxing can make you very sick if you don't know what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why we got into the blood work part.
Wow. So awesome. So let's get into some products and services. So can you tell us about some key products and services offered by your company, Natural Options, and how can they contribute to an individual overall well-being base?
You're running right now my 9 body systems from the rainforest. These herbs are all rainforest herbs. when I began to study from the rainforest, well, first of all, alpacas actually come from the Mayans in South America. So the rainforest, you'll notice that if an animal is sick, they will go look for an herb in the field or something that a tree or whatever, and you'll see them eating it if they're sick. Animals have a sense of knowing. We're the ones that don't have a sense. But anyway, so I found out that, that they had over 3,000 herbs in the rainforest that inhibit cancer cells. I said, whoa, we need to be looking at this, So I started studying, and I have oodles and oodles of research work on these herbs. And so I narrowed it down to 9 body systems so that if you came to me and said you had an upset stomach all the time, you couldn't eat food, you weren't going to the bathroom right, you couldn't breathe right, and you were having problems with your urinary tract, etc. So I could give you the digestive system, I could give you the respiratory system, and the urinary system. So there is the balancing all of those things that you're complaining about. And all of a sudden, people would say to us, well, everything went away. And I said, didn't you want it to go away? And they'd laugh at me and they said, well, yeah, but you only did that with 3 products. I said, well, sometimes you can do it with less. It just depends, And the bad part about what we do is there's no insurance. So you have to pay for it. And
there was no insurance back then, I think, and everything was doing well, and now things are not, and insurance is there. So I think it's a system. I don't believe on that system, but that's me.
Yes, I believe that. So, but most people today, they'll come in and they'll say, I'm a retiree and I have been taking these medicines, they're not working, and we change things and we do things for them. And they say, I have not felt this good in 20 some years. I don't care if I spend my entire retirement. And I said, well, I don't want you to do that. We'll keep it at a minimum. And, we try to help them the best we can. I often tell them, where do you live? What are you breathing? Do you live next to a high tower, electrical tower? Do you live in the mountains? Do you live near the river? What are you taking in? What are you breathing in? These are all important things. And, doctors don't have time. They spend about 7 minutes per person with a person actually here. And they don't have time to ask any of those questions. But I have done things with people and helped them change things with just asking those questions and saying, do you realize what that's doing to you? And clarify it. And, our foods are, I can remember when I was a little girl, they had made statistics that we ate 5 pounds of sugar a year per person. Now we eat 150 pounds of sugar per year per person. So what's that doing to our health? I'm not saying sugar's bad. I'm not saying that, but it's how much we have it's covered up in all of our foods and we don't know it.
That's exactly how much you have to take in, basically what's good for your body and at what extent it's not. So
right.
So this is a 2-part question now, and you're talking about this. So how do you ensure the quality and efficacy of your natural products available, right?
They are all made by a botanical company. The botanical company has to be FDA approved and has to be good manufacturing practices too as well, the GMFs. They have to have all of that. I don't make any products without that because I'd be sitting in jail. You wouldn't be talking to me.
That was my second question. Like, what kind of research and testing goes into their development? So I think they kind of take care of that.
Right. The botanical company has to research. As a matter of fact, they just called me the other day and said, we got a hybrid for an herb. You didn't get the true herb. I said, don't you dare put that in my product. So that does happen, So you have to watch. You have to watch who you buy from, where you buy from, and what botanical companies you're working with.
Okay, that makes sense, basically. So as a founder, and you have been in businesses for so long, basically, what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced in the industry and how do you overcome them?
I think the biggest one was I had to take all the courses that said what you could say and couldn't say, because being a medical doctor, there's a lot of things you can say.
To become a lawyer?
Yeah. Being a naturopathic doctor, you are not allowed to diagnose, prescribe, you're not allowed to, so you have to find other ways. So when somebody says, well, can you diagnose what I have? I say, no, but I can suggest what's going on with your body. Here's what the blood work says. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to eat. Here's some product line that you might want to consider. And if I don't have it, I send them out and let them, find it. And I tell them, check these things, read your labels, because even we are so bombarded with products these days. And I can remember back when I started 50 years ago, you'd go into a drugstore someplace, you wouldn't even find a vitamin, mineral, and herb on a shelf. Now you find them even at this gas station. You know what I mean? So it's so different, and you don't know what you're buying, and you don't know who you're buying from, and you don't know where they're getting them from, and all those things. So, I tell them, read your labels, know your stuff before you start buying these products. Those have been my biggest challenges. I had to take all the wording that I was allowed to do and not allowed to do according to the law so that I could sell product and I could help have a practice. It was difficult. It still is, and it's even getting worse.
No, that's again coming to the next question. With this growing of focus on technology and modern medicine, that is what is bringing all of this thing. So
Correct.
how you what role you see for natural and holistic approaches in health today, basically?
I basically see it going to go big and become really top because of the reason people are fed up with medicine. We now have drug problems in our country that's tremendous. I count on my hand how many mothers are bringing in a kid in here that's on drugs and telling a mother what they need to do, how to help them get off, how to do this, how to do that. And the other aspect is I feel like I'm a multiple type person because I have to also work with the emotional part of this. There's a lot of emotions involved in this whenever you're working with these people. And that's where I got into the flower and the tree essences and so forth. They're a very natural way instead of taking a lot of medications that are for mental illness and drugs. People get into trouble because they'll go to one doctor and get a prescription and then go to another one and get a prescription and go to a different one. And then before you know it, they're in a rehab place trying to get off of all these prescription drugs, and they're not even street drugs, but they're prescription drugs. And that's a very difficult situation. So I can't multiply myself. So I have taught a lot of practitioners how to practice like I do. But again, the law keeps them very afraid to step out.
Keep them bound, yeah. I can understand.
Yes, and so it's really hard to find a good practitioner. I have one that's really good in Idaho, and she calls me every day. I need to ask a question. I said, it's okay, go ahead. But after you train them and they start really working the field, then they go, oh my gosh, they've got everything from A to Z. Where do I start?
Awesome. So in this industry, I will say, because of technology and it's the old approach, or there's a natural approach. So are there any misconceptions or myths about natural healing that you'd like to address, and how can you can tell us how we can educate people more about this subject?
Yeah. One, people will think they can come to me or anybody else and get an herb and it's going to take care of the problem. Well, that's not it. You have to sit down and you have to talk to the person. You have to know where they are, not so much what their religious belief is, but what they believe about how they see natural health, medications, foods, etc., so forth, how they live their life. They could be hoarders. They could be living in filth up to the kazoo, you know what I mean? And basically, you're saying you can't live like that and get healthy. You can't, these are things that you have to look at. You have to tell them about changing their foods. You have to tell them about changing how they see things, how they do things. Sometimes even, their clothing, even, they'll say, well, why do you wear alpaca and all that all the time? And I'll say, well, it's natural fiber. Natural fiber is excellent for your body to breathe, and it keeps you extremely warm, and, et cetera. And, they're wearing a lot of polyester plastic. Polyester is plastic, and you're wearing plastic and their body can't breathe and they've got skin diseases and so forth. I say, you can't wear those. You just can't. So these are all the things that it's very difficult. You feel like you have to be, a master of everything, and there's just no way you can do that. And I think training and teaching people as much as you can that come to you that really want to be well. I start with food. Then I say supplements. We talk about clothes. We talk about how they live, their relationships, their mental well-being, their emotional well-being. You name it, we discuss it.
So it's a lifestyle basically. You
It
can say it's a
really is.
lifestyle expert, lifestyle
Yeah,
expert.
that's really what you are. And I loved it when they came out with the title Life Coaches, because that's really what you become. You're constantly coaching them. Don't do this, don't do that, you know. And just little things that's just absolutely amazing that I've seen even with animals happen, all because you just have that understanding of that whole picture instead of just that, oh, I'm sick, give me a pill, you know, picture.
Mhm.
And sometimes the pill's not it. That's not what you should have.
Uh, that's pretty much, I think, the right approach. So, with your whole experience, and I think you have seen a lot of in this, in your years. So, can you share one like personal success story or a testimonial from a client who has experienced significant improvement in their health using your products or services?
I can give you one I've had just this week.
Oh,
I have a 92-year-old man, and he's been
wow.
a client for a lot of years. And he called me and said he wasn't urinating right. And I said, you need to get over and get a blood test, get a PSA done, find out, let's see what's going on. Call me back. And he said, they told me to go right to the doctor. I said, just send me the paper. So he sent me the paper, and I said, okay, here's what you got to do. And I listed out what he should eat, what herbs he should take, et cetera, so forth. And his PSA was over 10. And in less than 30 days, we had it down under 8. So if you can do that to a 92-year-old man, can you imagine if you have a man coming in 32 that has that same situation? You can switch it quick. And we're still working at taking it down there, but they will not go to a doctor. He will not have anything done. He said to me, he said, do I have cancer? I said, now you know I can't answer that. And he laughed and looked at me and he said, okay, I got it. Just like that, you know. He says, I noticed a lot of the herbs you gave me have some cancer stuff in it. I said, there isn't an herb that don't go out my door, doesn't have something in it for cancer. Because I said, we have a lot of that in our country. It's just how it is, you know, and there's a lot of wonderful herbs that can help. And that's how I left it. And so, and I have a myriad of success stories of people that have really turned themselves around. And then I've had people that come and they go, I just can't afford this. I can't do this. I've just decided to die. And I'll go, this is
Oh my
your
God.
choice. This is your choice. But here's what you have to know. You do have family and friends. You do have people who will love and support you. You need to think about that. And we don't make enough on our products to I give more away than I actually sell, because
Wow.
I'm at that point in my life where I can say, look, take this and see if it works. Let's talk about it. Okay. But those that can pay, they pay. And I've had them come in and they say, I'm leaving you some extra money for the next guy that don't have it. I'll say, thank you.
There you
I'll
go.
put that in my pot. Mhm.
There you go. I feel like it's like God's work.
Mhm.
There are a lot of God's work. I think I can feel like this is one, because if someone is doing that, I think there is success. Like that's your success basically.
Right.
So
Well, one of the ways to save the planet is to save the people and help them to understand that they have changed, that they have to make these changes and they have to support themselves with these changes. If they tell me, well, you know, Alicia, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. And I say, if you're not going to do that, I can't help you. I don't know how else to help you. I can't give you a pill and make this work. You've got to make these changes. You need to get some sleep.
follow it, be disciplined.
Follow it, be disciplined with it. Like, you know, a lot of people love their exercise, but they don't think about what they're putting in their mouth. They don't think about how much sleep they're getting. They don't think about how much stress they have, you know, and so forth. So I just recently changed some herbs. I'm taking some Ayurvedic herbs. And my sister said to me the other day, she said, now I have white hair and you're supposed to have white hair. And I said, well, I do have white hair. She says, oh, no. You see all that dark coming back in your hair? Don't you even think about becoming a brunette again. I said, well,
Wait,
that has to be because I changed those herbs and I'm starting to take those Ayurvedic ones now. Sure has.
beautiful, beautiful. So I think you said you talked about a 90-year-old, and I feel like the young people, but I turned 32 this year. I remember last 12 years, I have like, there's too much to do. There's too much, there's a ladder we need to like, yeah. And we want success, we want things. We don't care about these, and then we don't listen to these things. And then after like 28, 29, I felt like my body is changing. There are some things going bad in here. What I mean, I don't eat meat, so that's my problem. I don't eat meat. I only
Sure.
try to rely on vegetables or staples or pulses, stuff like that.
Right.
So, but I'm not on the medicine. I tried like, but I can understand the changes in me. Like I cannot run
Sure.
that fast anymore. I can
Well, yeah.
even breathing.
You'll have to find more protein is all in your plant-based. That's all you have to do. You can do that without eating.
So that brings to me, like the next question is, what advice would you give to someone who's new to the world of natural health and wellness and wants to explore the benefits of more?
Well, the best thing for them is that they need to find somebody that they trust and that they're willing to work with, that is either an herbalist or maybe even somebody at a health food store, something that they know, or a practitioner. There's a lot of naturopaths out there now, a lot more than there was when I got started, that's for sure. And find somebody that they trust, listen to the advice and take it, within them, but also know that only they are the ones who can make the changes, to make the decisions and so forth. I put the power in the hands of the people. And I tell them, I can do this, this, and this for you. I can show you this, this, and this. I can teach you this, this, and this. You have to do it. You have to take the power to say, okay, I'm going to do this. Now, let's talk to your doctor and see about if we can reduce some of these medications. Go to him and tell him you want to do natural things and see what. Now, today, in our area here anyway, the doctors are more open. Actually, I have a medical doctor that sends me people now. He says, if you want natural health, you got to go see her. That's what he tells me.
No, that's the thing. Like, does this profession, doctors, support your profession? I think you're saying that, like, doctors and, but I think that's not the case for majority.
No.
So because that kills their business. I feel it's a business. So that kills their business.
I'll give you an instant. In our area, there's a hospital, and I had one of the people that are higher up in the hospital call me and say that they were contemplating opening a thing that went more into natural health as a part of their hospital, opening that door for people that came to visit them, at the hospital and show them some maybe natural ways they could do things. Would I be willing to come and talk to some of the representatives of the hospital? And I said, absolutely. So I went. And we had a discussion and we talked just like you and I are talking. They asked me lots of questions. I answered all their questions and they were like, wow, this would be wonderful if we could, kind of join forces or join hands. And I said, it would be. Never heard from them. Next thing I know, they opened up a cancer wing and they're doing all the cancer protocols and so forth medically. So
sometimes in the system, I guess.
Yeah, if somebody voted it down, I'm sure of that, but it could have been an absolute opportunity. I think that day's going to come. I won't be on this earth then, but I think that day will come, that they'll be more open to it because people are getting more and more and more disgusted. That's why I'm still in business. Basically, I could have retired easily and just said, I'm going to go play with my great grandkids now. I've got my grandkids grown. I got one of them living on the farm working. So I said, but there's just not enough people out there that are willing to step up to the plate and be able to do it. So I said, well, and then, you got to join forces. And I actually do believe that if they would look at that and they would join because they were going the right direction when they start talking to me, you could benefit so many people so easily. I think the world is split because of the insurance. Insurance pays medically, but it doesn't pay naturally. Now they have a lot of people that can have what they call a savings program for natural health benefits that they can have with their employers. That was new. That just came on the last few years. I found out about that. So I was like, wow, that's kind of nice. So they can go to that fund and they can draw it if they want to come here and buy herbs or whatever.
I'm pretty sure that fund is good, but that will be this much.
It's not very much, trust me.
Yeah. So because sometimes I question all of this, and I have a daughter. She's like 1.5 years, and I question everything for her. What will I do? So and then my mom says, like, you think too much. I think
There's nothing wrong with that. My grandson's your age. He's 36, and he's got 2 children, 1 and 3. They're here on the farm. He runs the farm for us now. And those great grandkids have, he will not do vaccinations. He wouldn't do the COVID shot with them and so forth. And he says, I just ain't going to take them off the farm. You see, just leave them here.
Like me, I never got tested for COVID.
I know. Well, I never did either. I don't.
Yeah.
I never fell for.
Because I knew if I go in, I will definitely be the one. So I never.
Don't do that.
Because that stops me for every, like, you cannot go outside, this protocol and all of it. And after 2 days, I feel good. Like, I think I had like COVID 5 times now. So,
Oh my! Well, you got through it though. See, you got a good
yeah,
immune
in
system.
2 days, in 2 and 3 days. So I don't know, it's a flu, it's a common flu, it's common, or it's COVID. And even with saying that, I believe something was there because I lost 3 of my family members, all elders.
Oh, how sad. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, anytime we don't have a really super fantastic good immune system, you got problems. And I don't care how healthy you think you are. So one of the things that gets fed every day is my immune system, one way or the other. I always keep it abreast of what's going on with it, you know. And you know, there's so many things that are involved with that. It's unbelievable. But this website is just an informational website just to show people what we have, what you know, what the research I've done. Now, this particular company of products here, now I have the lady in Idaho that I spoke about. She now owns that company, and I am her herbal formulator for her now. And because, you know, sooner or later, I've got to give this up. I don't know when it's going to be, but sooner or later it'll happen. So in the meantime, we've been working really diligently at keeping the product line going, keeping people going with it. And we've had a lot of success. Now, she is of the Amish Mennonite belief. They're very strong into not doing vaccinations and COVID and all that.
Conventional way.
Yeah, they come here a lot. Yeah.
Okay. I think he's somewhere else. But I will continue. I think I'm having a lot of fun here today. So thank you so much.
You're learning a lot, aren't you?
Yeah. So I try to stay back. I have heard like Wayne do this a lot. We have like 18 to 1900 webinars. And I've seen Wayne talk about this, and he has a lot of fun. He naturally likes it. I've seen him talking 3 hours straight. So I was like, wow.
You can do it. Yeah, go ahead. You're doing fine. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, okay, next one is again, I think I want to know about this because you need to be you need to like keep your yourself updated. So how do you keep yourself updated with the latest research and trends in natural health, healing and holistic approach? And then you go to your your partner who's taking care of the development part. So how does that thing happen?
Well, one of the things that we do, we pass a lot of information back and forth. I have a newsletter. I send it out to my customers and clients, and we pass lots of things back and forth as we learn about things. I have a lady that travels to Peru, and she actually takes a group of people over there for healing with the shamans. She brings me back a lot of information, a lot of educational things. She learns from them. She brings it back to me here in the States. We have a lot of there's a lot of wonderful, great books out there now that have been written. We've even had people go out of business and just write books so they could just say what they need to say, you know, because you can't be in business and say it at the same time. So it's a never ending. I read every day. I research herbs every day. I'm not a big buyer of products anywhere unless I know the person and I know they're making it safely in a botanical company. I'm very strong about that because of what all we have going on here in the States.
I can understand that. So I think you said that you cannot multiply yourself, but do you have some kind of a masterclass or some of that, like where you kind of teach
I did.
people?
Yeah, I did before I retired, and I don't do that anymore. Now I have a lot of the practitioners that are in this, or they find me through somebody, and I will do one-on-one. And because with COVID, we couldn't do the classes. Okay, so I started doing just one-on-one on the computer, and so I have a lot of practitioners that I work with them and teaching them and training them that way.
So I asked this question because you retired, you came back. Like there's always a vision. I'm pretty sure that there's a vision of future for natural options, and so that's
Oh,
the next question. Like, how do you plan to expand or evolve the company in the coming years? Because you are back. I know you retired, but now
yeah.
you're back. But there's
Well, I
always
know, yeah, the practitioners that I have trained in the last probably 10, 12 years, they're the ones that will have an option to purchase the product line, wholesale it, retail it, train other practitioners, and they get all my teaching materials and all those kinds of things. So I already put that into the works about 15 years ago, knew I was going to, that day would come. And so I already have people set up that are teaching and doing it. And then I just stay in the background and I answer the hard questions that they can't answer in the class or to the practitioner or whatever. So we've got quite a few practitioners around the country. I've got a few here in Ohio, one down in Huntington, West Virginia. So we've got them around. And if people find me and they're close to them, I always send the customer to them. Always.
beautiful, beautiful. So I think this is the right time to ask this question now. So in this your whole journey of being a founder of Natural Options, or your previous name, whatever it was,
Sure.
I think I heard about it. So what has been some of the most rewarding moments of your experience, like, or your experiences?
Well, I guess the one I'll tell you that I think is the best is a little alpaca was born, and it was born premature. And we were traveling, my sister and I were traveling to a show, and her husband called and said, Delilah had her baby. I said, what? That's too early. And so we were about 70 miles away, and we were walking him through what to do. And he was scared to death. He didn't know, have not a clue what to do for this little animal. And we walked him through it, and we pulled in the driveway, and I ran up. And just as I ran up, he pulled away from her. And just as he pulled away from her, she started breathing because she was gone. And he was like, oh, I saved her, I saved her. He was so excited. And we said, see, all you did was just listen to my sister. That's his wife telling him, you listen to my sister. I've told you 100 times, if you just listen to her. So, but my sister, she had a meniscus. I can talk about her because I can get away with this. And she tore it, and she tore the ligaments on the right side. And she was out playing baseball with the girls. And so the EMT wanted to take her to the hospital. She said, oh, no, 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 no. You don't take me near no hospital. That ain't happening. They're going to put me in this car and take me back to my sister. So she came home, and I said, well, what did the EMT say? She said, well, you're going to have that operated on. She said, I told her I am not. And I said, you tore this really bad. Do you realize that I can feel this in here? And she goes, I know it hurts while you're touching it. And I said, if I work with this and you do what I tell you to do, it's going to be 3 months of you hopping around on this leg. You got to know that. And she goes, I'll hop. Let's get
For 3 months.
3 months it took her. She limped around. We did all the things. She took all the herbs I told her how to eat, what to do. We wrapped it, everything. 3 months later, she comes in. She's walking just fine. About a month after that, we have a pretty high porch here, and you have to hop over the railing to get down into the pasture. Our alpacas got out and they were out of the pasture, going along the creek. And I yelled at her and I said, Norma, the alpacas are out. Abby's going down the driveway. And she said, oh no. And she ran out the door, jumped over the railing, hit that ground hard. I know she did. Went running after that alpaca and chased him back into the field. And of course, he was the leader, so all the rest followed him. And she got them all back in the field. And she come up and I said, so how you doing? And she goes, fine. Why? Is something wrong? And I said, do you realize that you just jumped over that railing and you just had that leg tore up less than 4 months ago? She goes, well, it's working. It's fine. There ain't nothing wrong with it.
Oh my God. I need that belief in my life.
Yes, well, and the EMT told her she'd never walk again if she didn't go get it sewed and she didn't go get it, you know, because she ripped it in half and everything. But it's amazing what the body will do if you give it the right things to do it with. So I've had a lot of injuries in my life, and I can tell you for a fact that I just keep doctoring myself up is what I keep doing, you know. And people come out here and, you know, we are in our we're great grandmas, both of us, and we're out here picking up 50-pound bales of hay, you know, and people are like, well, where's your young people? And I said, well, they're busy swimming with the kids. So we're out picking up the hay.
Sweet. Wow.
But that's the way it goes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I think you just mentioned this thing like ligament damage, it can bring a lot of stress. And this is the dilemma these days, mental health. Mental health is a problem. Like it's an issue, it's a problem going around in the world. So does your natural option or like your way of doing it, like incorporates with it, like with stress management or emotional well-being
Oh,
and
absolutely.
overall?
Yeah, that's what all the essences are about. All the essences are about those aspects of yourself that you don't see. And people will come in and they'll buy an essence and they'll say, well, it didn't work. I say, which one did you buy? And I'll talk to them for a few minutes and I'll say, you got the wrong one here, take this one. And then they'll call me up and they'll go, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how good that worked. I said, see, you hear yourself, but you don't know yourself because you're into this mental fog, is what I call it, lack of whatever. So we find we try to help people to understand where they are. Now, we work a lot with a lot of autistic children too, you know, because they sometimes they'll throw tantrums and so forth. And the mothers have found the essences have been working wonderful with their autistic children. So that's one of the areas we use a lot. People that have gotten involved in drugs, gotten off of drugs, of course, we have to use herbs and lots, counseling and other things. But they also take a lot of essences as well. So the essences and the herbs go hand in hand. If you're sick, you're stressed. Let's face it. And if you're sick, something can cause that, and you need to find out if there's an underlying emotion, mental illness, or whatever the case may be, whether it be bipolar, schizophrenic, whatever you want to label it, title it, whatever, and you have to find a way. A lot of times, people that are mentally ill will go in and they'll try one prescription with them, and then they'll try another one, and then they'll try another one, and nothing ever works. And then they think, well, I'll take all three. And then they get themselves in big trouble because
that's the spiral.
Drugs, you know, at that point, and they're in a rehab center somewhere, you know, and they'll call me from a rehab center and they'll say, well, I took them all together. I said, no, you don't take drugs like that. Your doctor didn't tell you that, you know. And so the nice part about what we do, the only thing these products will do is they might make you poop a lot. They might make you pee a lot. They might make you throw up. But they're not going to make you sick and cause you to be in a rehab center or anything.
Does it like taste good?
Yeah, these just taste like water actually, because I put the base of these into Helix water. The Helix water is a scientist founded water that literally breaks down inflammation in the body. You have no inflammation, you have no disease. We all take Helix water every day. All of us here on the farm. Kids, animals, all of us. So that's the one thing about it is that, and it was really interesting when I met the founder of this company and began to work with him and for him and doing the thermal imaging and so forth to show how it changes the cell in the body. It changes the electrical unit of the cell is what it does. And so when it does that, then it breaks all that inflammation and you urinate it out usually most of the time. That's what happens to it. So, you know, people that are just pain and stuff like that, that's all inflammatory type stuff. And we can give them the Helix water and it's amazing. They'll call us and say how wonderful it is.
Oh, I need that then. So it's a third party. I think it's something you put your like things on your website for third party people also. It's not just your own products. Okay.
No.
Because I wanted to ask you, like, on your website, are there any resources or tools you can recommend to those interested in natural healing, or it's just the products and all of it? So, are there any free resources or just?
No, this is the production of all of it, basically. I minimize what I do. Herbs, for physical, essences for emotional, helix water for the inflammatory basis of what could actually fix any disease, actually, if you get to the basis of it. So I really, a lot of years I sold lots of other different kinds of herbs and different things, and I found other companies and so forth. There's one of my books that I wrote. And I have found that the body is just as simple as we can be in fixing it. We make it hard. We make it so hard. And, when somebody tells me they're a diabetic, I'll say, okay, well, let's do the blood work and see what else is going on. Well, I know I'm a diabetic. I said, no, how did you become a diabetic? You need to know that. What else is not working?
You go back. Exactly.
Yeah,
No.
and when you get into the pancreas is part of the digestive system as well as it is part of the glandular system. Are you fixing both? You ask that question, they'll say, well, no, I don't have any problems with my stomach. I'll say, you work all together, believe it or not, in the base of your gut, you have a higher amount of nerve endings, nervous system than you do in your brain. Your brain's your thinker. This is where you feel it. This is everything right here in the center of yourself. So this is where you really have to begin along. So, and I try to help people to understand all of that if they can, but sometimes you can see some of the titles there. Life is a community. Life is a whole community. You're a part of the bigger picture, as we are a bigger picture of this earth, actually. Me personally, I don't like cell phones and computers. I've had to give in, but I use diodes on everything anyway, because electromagnetic fields go through us and we don't understand what they do to our nervous system. I mean, look at all the power. We had a windstorm here and we were without power for 3 days. I never heard such whining and crying in my life. I was like, it's okay, we're all right, but that's the problem with us. We have become so modernized that we don't see any problems with any of this stuff. But
no, the internet
you're an
goes or
electrical
like
person. Yeah, you're an energetic person.
No, power outages are very common for us here, like in Pakistan. At least in summers, we have a lot of load shedding thing happen.
Sure.
So there are times when we are sitting without anything, like because electricity was out for so much long, like you cannot charge your phone, you cannot charge anything. Now you're sitting in the dark like this and you're talking.
Talk away. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the best conversation I have with anyone, with my wife, with my mom. And
Absolutely.
so
We don't
I never
know
knew
how-
I was gossip,
Yeah,
but yeah,
we have no idea how to sit down and have that conversation or sit down and play a board game or something at a table anymore. We don't know what that is. Everybody's confined in this. My grandchildren aren't allowed to bring their cell phones or their iPads in my house. I said, you came to visit me, you're visiting me. So they have a difficult time, like, well, what are we going to do? Just sit and look at each other, Grandma? And I said, I'll bet we'll think something up. It's difficult though, because we do live in a modern world.
Yeah, it is. But okay, so I was so much busy like talking, I never looked at the questions for the audience. So I have few here. I'm sorry. We have already talked about it. So this one is from Erin, and she says that, is it true that purified water with no mineral content strips the body of minerals electrolytes? So,
It can. I drink reverse osmosis water, just clean water. If it's a clean well, I'll drink from a well quicker than I will any city water by any means. I think, yeah, you can overdo everything, and that's one thing I think you got to be careful of. Now we put our Helix water in distilled water because we don't want it to be connected to any of the metals or the minerals in that water whatsoever for it to function and do well what it does. So that's the only thing we do when we dilute it down.
okay. The next one is, what is a remedy to heal poison ivy?
You're going to love this story. You asked for stories, I give you one. Here's my sister again. She's really going to hear this one. She came in one day and she had poison ivy all on the inside of her leg. She had shorts on. So where the shorts stopped at the top of her knee, all the way down, she had big poison ivy thing. I said, what were you doing? She said, well, I was walking around this tree. And I said, did you look to see if there was poison ivy? I said, how bad's it hurt? She says, it itches so bad. She says, I want to choke you. I said, well, you're not. So get in there and get a shower. And I said, what you're going to do is you're going to open them all up. She says, oh, that's going to hurt. I said, clean them all up, get them open, and then come back out here. And I have a golden seal salve. Actually, anybody can buy it. It's from the Nature Sunshine Company. There's a lot of other good ones out there too, but golden seal is a natural antibiotic. And so it was a golden seal salve, rubbed it all over her legs. The itch stopped, the burn stopped, just like that. I've got pictures of her legs, and in 3 days it was dried up. She couldn't believe it. So it's pretty fantastic, but not everybody's brave enough to get in the shower and open all them up.
Okay, next one. I think people are coming with their own things now. What do you recommend for back pain?
Well, I would probably use the bone and muscle rainforest herbs. They, the two ones that I have, bone and muscle and the nervous system, have a lot of rainforest herbs in them that are for pain.
Awesome. So one more. Okay, so it goes something like this. Like, how long is the process with herbs and all? Like with medicine, like conventional medicine, they give you a course of like 5 days, 3 days. What's with the herbs? Like, it's a lifetime thing, or it goes?
It's a lifetime thing. I still don't know every herb there is. I learn every single day. The first course I ever took, I learned about 100 Western herbs, which would be what we would have here in the States. And when I took the rainforest herbs, I learned over 1,000 of them. And then you have to kind of pick and choose which ones do what, which ones will blend well with what, which ones will work better in this formula. There's a lot to it. There really is.
Okay. So I think that answered that question. I have one more. How does the Helix water work?
The Helix water, let's think of your cell as having like a little, in a car, you have spark plugs, you used to have them, and it would jump from this point to this point is what it did to get the car to go, okay? So the Helix water, you have the mitochondria in the center of your cell has an electrical current. And when that electrical current doesn't work anymore, that cell starts to break down and becomes a bad cell. The body either has to get rid of it, or if it starts to mass together and become a tumor, it can become cancerous, et cetera, et cetera. So what the Helix water is doing is resetting the electrical current in the center of the cell. And I have a great little booklet that actually shows all of this kind of stuff and tells all of it. You got the bigger part of it there pushing it. And then when you take the Helix, you see the change in the actual cell on the left, well, my left. You see the white dots, and then you see the ones that are just solid round ones. This is showing you after taking the Helix water after just 15 minutes, just exactly how it changed the cell that quick. So you have to take that water on a pretty regular basis in either a full form or diluted form, but it will definitely change it. And they've had the thermograms to show the changes. And the best thing about on the right where the DNA atomic force microscope that they used, that when they found this, it was amazing because it looked like our DNA. It was so amazing. And I was like, whoa. So we are water and electric, aren't we? That is what we are.
We are. Okay. So I think this one is the last one. And I think, yeah. So the question is, what are the benefits of using natural versus traditional medicine? I think the whole the whole podcast was about that. And
Yeah,
if you listen to the replay, you will know. But if you want to give one statement about it or two,
basically, I think that there's a time when you need a doctor, but most of the time you don't. If you are really, truly care about yourself and your health, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you have everything at your hand right in the pharmacy. I call it God's pharmacy out here. Whether it be herbs, trees, water, you name it, you just have to search it out and decide what's best for you. I'm not telling you not to go to a doctor. I have a lot of my clients have their regular doctor visits, and they come back anyway and they go, well, he said, and I'll say, okay. And they'll say, but I'm not doing that. And I'll say, well, okay, you know. So it's choices too. It's your belief and your choices.
Awesome. I think that was the last one from the audience. And my questions, I have a list of more, but I think it's top of the hour. So I will stop here. Wayne always taught me to be very respectful of our speaker's time,
Sure.
and we try to follow that. So I think we will just end on one last thing. Like, if anyone from the audience or from our community wants to reach out to you, what's the best way? Just going to your website and contact you there?
Just go to the website and they can email me or call me. I think the number's on there too. The phone number's on there as well. Should be. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't play with these things. Yeah, there it is. See, you can text me, you can email me, you can call me. I don't care.
Awesome. I think that the
Just
most
remember
available
now,
person
do
can
go to bed. This is Eastern time.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, Alicia. I hope I was able to fill in the shoes for Wayne. And
You did wonderful. Plus, you got educated. Look at that. I see the smile on your face already.
It is beautiful. Thank you
Tell
so much.
Dr. Dorman, thank you.
No, I will. So thank you for being here, and thank you for this awesome session and information plus knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Mark, take us off.